me, is this seat taken? Got dog hair on the lens. Today, we're gonna figure out why Blue's window won't go past this point. It gets about 1.5 inches and then it stops dead in its tracks. So I think I know what the problem is. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open up the door panel and then I'm gonna show you why this window is not going down. So we'll get some tools. Okay, so first we're going to take our little screwdriver and pop that out. Remove the speaker grill. And there's just four clips that hold it on. Next we take our number 2 Phillips and we'll take this little screw out here. Careful not to lose this one. This one seems to go missing a lot. And it's tapered. It's the only one like it in the car. There we are. Next we'll take our larger Phillips. We've got 3 screws that hold the armrest on. And next we need to take the window crank off. So what you want to do is push this back. There's a little clip inside there. And if you take a little screwdriver, you can carefully pry that clip out. It looks like that. And then you can take this right off. So now we can locate the clips on the panel here. You want to be careful how you just kind of find them and pull right where you think they are, because sometimes these door panels are quite degraded. This one's been off a few times in its life, and so it's going to be a little damaged in certain spots. As you can tell, the bottom part's detached from the top rail here, but these are the clips that hold it on. It's missing, well, it's missing one, but it's torn where the other ones are supposed to be. But what we'll do is we'll take our tool, we'll remove the clips from the door, and we'll reinsert them. So these are the ones that have stayed in. There we go. Before we lose them. Okay, so we've removed the two clips that were stuck in the door. We've put them back in, but as you can tell, when these things get wet repeatedly over the years, they get torn. So we just we'll put them back in anyway. But that's the situation. This door card is in pretty rough shape. But it's still good. It'll look fine when it's all back together. So what we want to do now is we want to take just the handle with no clip, and we want to try and roll the window down. I can already see what the problem is. I'll show you with the light here. So if you look down in here, that cable, this is one of the cables from the window regulator. It's come out of its clip that holds it in place. And that's what the problem is. As soon as we try and roll the window down, the stopper for the window, to stop the window from going up too far, this is right underneath it, so it stops the window from coming down. So if we were to hold that out of the way and then roll the window down, then it works. The window's in rough shape though. There we go. So now the challenge is to get the window regulator, or to get this, what we're going to do is we're actually going to remove this stopper, then we can access the clip that's right beneath it, and we can try and get this cable clipped back in, and then that cable will be out of the way and this window will work. And at the same time we'll grease the tracks and we'll make it work properly again. So we've got a 10mm ratchet. And now we should be able to see the clip nice and clear. It's right there. We'll put the thing on. So you can see where it clips onto the cable right there, where that little white mark is. It's like a white dot. That's where the clip belongs. And it clips into this plastic piece here. Right there. And when it pops out, it gets in the way and stops the window from going down. It's a very tight fit. Sometimes you have to put a little bit of lubrication on, like a little bit of Armor All or something, and that gives it just enough to go in. But this time, I've done it. So we'll test it. So problem solved. The window regulator is very stiff though right now, so we will lube it up as best we can and make it perfect. And don't forget that these stoppers here correspond with the little plastic wheel that's screwed onto the window, and you can see on this side these are there to stop the window from going up too far. So we'll put that back on right now. There we are, done. So basically, if your window's only going down an inch and then getting stopped, it's most likely that cable that's come out of its clip. If your window's really tough and it goes down all the way, or if you hear crunching, it's most likely your window regulator and it'll need to be replaced. So we'll start the greasing process here to extend the life of this one. We're going to use some silicone lubricant on this one tonight. And we'll do it with the window in the up position. That way we won't spray this all over the window. If the window's in the down position, you've got a much better chance of getting it everywhere. stiff. Yeah. Sometimes a good idea with silicone lubricant to put a little bit in that track here, because there can be a fair bit of resistance with the window in this rubber track. Alright, so we're going to get ourselves some more lube. And I want to try and grease. I don't know if you can see, but it's probably a pretty good reflection. And this part here has a wheel on it. And it seems to be quite dry. The grease is quite old. So I'm going to get some different grease. And because that's where the cable goes into here. So I'm going to grease that up with some lithium grease. And hopefully that'll help to make a difference enough so this thing lasts a little bit longer, because this one is on its way out. So actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it on the end of here, like that. I'm going to push the window out of the way, and then I'm going to deposit it into the areas that I want it to be. Like that. I'm going to try and get as much in as I can so that it greases the cable every time the cable travels around this mechanism. This is a good idea just as preventative maintenance on your regulators, even if you don't have a problem yet. Even when I put a new one in, I always put extra grease on it. Getting better. It is very stiff though on the way down. So one of the other adjustments we can make right now as well, various parts of the regulator assembly they do move. There's a certain amount of play in them. So when it's this tight, I'm going to loosen off. There's a 10 millimeter bolt here and one at the bottom down here. And I'm going to loose them off and then tighten them back up and see if that makes any difference to the resistance that this window regulator is experiencing. There's also these bolts here. They're 14 millimeter. You've got two here that hold the regulator onto the door, and there's two underneath here as well, right there, there and there. And those you can move them a little bit back and forth and side to side. So we're going to loosen those off, and we're also going to loosen off the secondary track. There's one at the top and then one at the bottom. And we'll loosen those off as well, and we'll roll the window up and down just while they're snug so that they can get into their optimum position. .14 millimeter socket on a ratchet is what we'll need. You just don't want to loosen it too much, just so that this can move slightly. now that those are just a little bit loose, we're going to see if there's any difference on how this feels going up and down. And we're also going to feed some of this in there. Okay. Seems a lot better. So while that's in the down position, where the main resistance is towards the bottom, so we're going to tighten it up again, and then we'll see if there's an improvement when we once we've got it all tight. There we are. Okay. So going up is silky smooth. Coming down is a lot better. So I am going to grease this some more, and then I'm just going to get a bunch of this on my finger, and I'm going to reach in through the hole here, find the track that corresponds here, trying not to get it everywhere, but I'm not doing a good job. I'm making a mess here. I just want to get some of that into there. Just kind of want to reach your finger and just kind of push it into the track so that it's in there for when that little wheel comes down. It's going to mush it all the way down that track, and it'll be so much better. And we can do the other side as well, the other secondary track. I'm going to reach in, just put my finger around the corner and push it into that track underneath, and that should make a difference. That's when this tool comes in handy too, because we can actually reach this right in, and we can just massage a little bit of this into the track, like so. The other thing you could do is take the entire window regulator out, but there's not a lot of point in doing that unless you have to replace it. It's the old stuff that came out of it right there. There we are. Beautiful. So much better. Like silk. Okay, so that problem is solved. Now, we could leave it there, but I'm not satisfied with just leaving it there. There's another part of this window regulator that the cable is exposed on, and what happens up here with all the moisture we have, the cables become corroded and rusted. So we want to try and protect that cable by putting some more of this grease on it, so that when it travels into the plastic sheath, it gets lubricated every time. So what we need to do is access the inside of this door, pulling back this part. Being careful not to get the gorilla snot on your hands. You can see this here, that's corrosion. And normally I wear gloves for this job, but I forgot. But I highly recommend it, especially if it's warm out. This stuff will attach itself to your hands. Okay. So now, it's going to be tough to see, but I'm going to reach in here. You can find the cable, and there's also a little guide that cable runs across. And so I'm going to put my hand in there, find that guide, and put a big glob of grease on it. And that way, as that cable travels across that guide, it'll be lubricated. And I'm also going to run my finger up and down the cable with the grease on it and grease that cable up as much as I can so that we can continue to get as much life out of this regulator. If we hadn't done this today, that regulator would have worn out very quickly and prematurely, and you know, you'd be just installing a brand new one rather than greasing up an existing one. There we are. And what I'll do afterwards, I'll show you a regulator out of the car so that you can see what we've done and what it looks like when it's outside of the door. And that's why you wear gloves. And I'll show you how to get that off too after. Okay, so we'll do our best to reattach the vapor barrier here, which on a lot of cars is pretty torn up, especially when people have been in multiple times. And that's as these cars are getting into their 20s. They, you know, a lot of times people have been in the doors multiple times to do various different repairs and installs of things. So this job is done. We'll button it back up. We'll put the door panel back on. With this particular one, this is normally attached to the bottom part here, but it's come adrift. As you can see, the screws that hold the cardboard backing, some of them are broken right off. Some of them the backing's torn away, but not a concern. They'll hold just fine. So you just want to set it on there nice and loose like that. Just hang it over the edge. Then we'll do our best to reattach this guy. You have to just lift this forward a little. Feed this underneath. Now you want to line up these holes here. That one's there. You just want to line these up. These little clips with those holes. There's one. And once you get them started, then it's it's easy. That's a good time to clean in behind this door handle. Get all that stuff out of there. And these screws will fall out of this, so I was just careful to keep them in, but I'll show you what they look like. They look like that. There's two short ones, and there's one, so there's two short ones go here and here, and then this one here is longer. So if you're wondering which one goes where, the long one goes in the top. Sometimes these are a challenge to line up, but especially when the vapor barrier's moved a little bit. There we go. That's the hole there. Okay. Yeah, if you've done anything with the vapor barrier, the holes for these screws are not in the same place as they were when you started. And you don't want to go crazy tight on these. You want them snug, you know, relatively tight. If you go too tight, you'll strip the plastic piece behind that they thread into. So you definitely don't want to do that. But you need them tight, but not over tight. There. Insert that. Put that trim piece back in. Find the little screw that usually gets lost. And not too tight on this one, because you will crack this surround. It doesn't take much. So now with the window up, you want to be careful what position you put this in. So the position it should go in is basically right there when the window's in the up position. And you want to try and match it up to the other side, so when both windows are up, both of these are in the same place on both sides. So what you do is you put this clip on, insert it from this angle. That way it's very easy to get at it. If you put it going this way, which you can do, it's quite hard to grab onto this part if it's behind here. So that's the way that goes on. Don't forget to put this on. And position it where you want it. And done. And put that back on. So what we've got here is an example of what a window regulator looks like when it's out of the car. So this one's been greased up and ready to go. It's a used one, but it's a very good condition used one. So what we were doing today is we were trying to get some grease. We were trying to feed some grease into this track when we were reaching around inside the door. So I had my finger in there and I was just putting big globs of grease in here so that when this travels up and down, this is the part that moves the window up and down, it bolts on, it screws onto there in 3 places. So we were getting that greased. We also put grease in here. You can see where I've put some in, and that way it lubricates that cable every time. When you turn this, it winds the cable out and up. So it basically pulls on the one side, pulls it in, and the other side goes out. So what we want to do is make sure that we've got grease on this tab here as this cable passes over. Put as much grease on the cable as we can. Put grease at these points and also on this bottom part here, which is going to collect a lot of moisture over the years. So if you do that, your regulator is going to last you a lot longer. So grease here, here, all up the cable, here, here, and in the track, and that's going to make your life a lot better and give you the maximum life. And that job is complete. I hope that helps you. Okay, now that we've completed our window regulator fix, I forgot to wear the gloves, so I have to clean what I call gorilla snot, which is basically, I think, urethane, stuff they use to stick stuff together and put windows in with. So it's all over my hands. What I found works the best to get it off is Goo Gone. So spray some on a paper towel, and it should eat through it pretty quick. Look at that. Even though I've got quite a heavy amount on my hands right now, this will get it off quite easily. The other thing that's really good is to clean your tools afterwards. There's nothing worse than having dirty tools. I can't stand it. So I usually clean my tools with this if I've got any of this stuff on it, and I managed to get it in all sorts of places where it's not going to want to come out of. But as you can tell, it works very well to clean things up. Even on your arm where you didn't think you had any. Because before you know it, it's on your clothes. So always clean it as soon as you can. Have the right stuff on hand, And there we are. Almost like new. Except for that one. That's going to be a scrub brush, I think. There we are. So there's a little pro tip for you. How to get this stuff off your hands if it won't come off. Get the Goo Gone. Always have it handy because it's good for so many things, especially if you get sap on your car. That stuff works very well. And there we have it.